intention for bringing this conversation to you guys around creating systems and structures really is because I've seen that it's the thing that makes the difference in terms of creating ease in your business. Obviously, you guys have a highly automated business, which is so incredible, and so much of the stuff's done for you, which is great. However, the other part of it is you in your business, and is how you treat your business and like how you run it on the back end. And what I've seen is that if we skip over these really simple and I guess like easy first parts, then what can happen is we get to a point where we're, multiple six figures or whatever that goal is for you financially. And it's kind of like, oh, I can't go beyond this because I've run out of time. I have no more capacity. I can't keep up with all my leads, like whatever it is. So actually having these foundations and having these set up, whether you've just started in this business or whether you've been in it for a while and you're still growing, or whether you're at the point where you're like, my business is booming, but like, what is this? Like there's no structure, there's no organization, like everything feels chaotic. Actually having the foundations laid now, the way I see it is literally like having floors on your house, right? So you can build this beautiful mansion, but if you don't have the floors, or if you have really wobbly floors, eventually it's going to collapse and you're not going to be able to build the third story or whatever. So you may be able to grow your business to a point without these kinds of foundations that we're going to talk about, but it's like you're going to only be able to get so far before it either can't sustain or it physically cannot grow further. And there was just something I thought then that I wanted to say before we move on. And it's something that could pop up for you. And it's the idea that, oh, I know this stuff, right? This is really basic. This is really simple. And what can happen is if it's something we've heard before, we're like, oh, I know this doesn't apply. And we'll switch our brains off. And instead of actually listening and getting something new for ourselves, we'll just be like, I already know this, or that's really basic, or it doesn't apply to me. So my invitation is that you actually notice that if it pops up, and you just choose to be in the conversation, because regardless of whether this is something that you're like, you know what, I already have, I already use a calendar, there's nothing in this for me, or oh, that doesn't apply for me yet because I'm not busy enough, right? You're going to miss out on someone just said that they always get nuggets from the training. Sorry, I closed it too quick to see who, but right, you're going to miss out on the little nuggets. So know that some of this may be really simple for you, but if you don't have these simple things, like Kristie shared, up until I think a few weeks ago, she didn't have a calendar. And I was like, we can't keep growing the business without knowing where your time is and what you're booked into. So having these really simple things set up well now means that in the future, you've got these really strong, beautiful, solid foundations. So I'm going to keep it simple. And a part of the reason for that is Kristie mentioned our big masterclass, which was amazing. We went into, the systemizing and delegating and all of that. But what I noticed is a lot of people were at the point of needing these real basic foundations. And this can happen a lot in the online world. We go, oh, so-and-so's doing that thing, and it's really glitzy and exciting, and they've created all this wealth and this income, and it's amazing, and they're doing that, so I should be doing that now too. And we can get distracted, right? We can go, oh, I need the fancy website, I need all the photo shoots, I need the whatever it is, all the stuff, all the fancy stuff up the front. Oh, I need to get a team now. And what I saw happen, and I see this happen quite a bit in online business, is we get really distracted by all the fancy stuff and all the things that sound great, but we're not yet at the point where we've got these foundations in place that it actually makes sense. So if you're someone, and there's going to be random things that I'll sprinkle through around, like if you're at a point where you're ready to leverage your time more through delegating and bringing in team, I may drop little bits in here. But my intention is to keep it at the basis of like the foundations just for you, because until your business has roots and until your business is established and until you've maximized your resources, which is, yourself at the moment, it makes no sense to then go, oh, let me get distracted by building all this other stuff. Because at the moment, your core focus, and again, I'm being very general because I'm speaking to quite a few of you, but your core focus really should be on what your next goal is, like where you're going and the steps that you need to take on a daily basis to get there. And that's your focus. So if you get distracted by, oh, I'm going to go get the team and, oh, I'm going to set up all this stuff that's not needed yet, it really pulls you out of your lane. So I'm keeping it really simple for you so that you can apply and actually action things now. Like I'm going to give you things that you can literally action today that do make the difference long term. Because as we've just spoken about, if you set this stuff up now, you've got this solid foundation. And the cool thing, so obviously Kristie shared that I came in and built the Freedom Era team. Now, had we have built a lot of these foundations that we're going to talk about, way back then the process of building the team would have been even quicker and even smoother, which is crazy because it happens so fast as it is. But if you start to get in these really great practices and habits now, as your business grows, you've set yourself up so well for success that the next steps just become easier. I am going to keep Hearth and I. Awesome. Really want to do the masterclass. It was great. Okay, cool. See, great from Tanya. She did the masterclass. It was great because she was at that next level to put in those processes. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to look at 3 simple places to start creating structure. And the reason why I'm going to start with like these really, really basic things is because these are things that you can look at and change and implement like right away. I don't want to give you stuff that I'm like, oh, here's 45 steps to go through before you can implement this. It's like, let's look at where you can actually create some structure in your business now and actually start showing up in your business like a business. Because whether you've just joined the Freedom Era and you're still, working in another job, or whether you're like all in on this, like whatever it is, having these things in place not only supports your business, but actually supports how you operate. When I first started my business online, I was working in another job, and having this stuff sorted allowed it to be so much easier, not only to manage both, but to massively fast track my business. My business took off really quickly because I was so clear on what to focus on. So we're going to look at where you get to start creating structure. And the first one, and I feel like I've just taken some women through a mastermind from the Freedom Era actually. And I feel like I told them 45 times a week that their Google Calendar was their best friend. And they listened and they agree now. So it must work. But having a schedule that is structured is the most undervalued free tool that we can use in our business. Now, I'm going to show you a screenshot of an example calendar that I created, and it does kind of mimic my own calendar because I'm a little bit OCD. But actually having structure to your schedule means that not only do you know where you're at. So again, if we look at the example where maybe you're not fully in the Freedom Era business yet, maybe you've still got something on the side, or maybe you've got the Freedom Era and another leg of business, like maybe there's a split focus. Without having a clear schedule that literally goes, okay, from this time to this time, this is my focus. And then from this time to this time, this is my focus. We waste so much time looping in and in our mind of like, oh, I've got to do this, and then I've got to do this, and oh crap, I can't forget that. And it's actually chewing up and wasting energy. And I'm going to share around like being a really productive person. And part of it is that. Part of it is like conserving your energy and not being like bouncing between lots of things. So having a schedule, I always find it an interesting conversation because much like Kristie, a lot of my friends are like visionaries and creatives and very, what I say, flowy, right? Because creativity is quite flowy and it's beautiful. But the way I see your schedule is it's the masculine structure. So if you imagine, a friend uses this analogy and I'm going to borrow it from her. If you imagine a river and your creativity and your vision and your ideas for your business are the river, the riverbank along the side, right, that supports that to flow is the structure. So in this case, it's your schedule. In the next case, it's organization. Like we really need that structure to then have that fluidity to go through. So we're going to look at your schedule. We're going to look at the back end of your business. So I like to use the analogy of a shop front. So everyone's very focused, which I love, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I love beautiful branding. I love gorgeous photos. I love all the up the shop front things. But if you have this beautiful shop front and the windows decorated great and it's like everything, right? But then someone goes in the doors and I keep going to swear and I'm like, I'm not going to swear. It's a mess, right? The aisles aren't numbered. There's different items in different things and it's just chaos. It's not an efficient way to run a business. And what can happen is when we just start, we're very focused on creating the shop front, which is beautiful. And we forget about the inside of the shop. We forget about the behind the scenes. And then it gets to a point where we have to pay attention to the behind the scenes because all of a sudden we've grown so much. There's so many leads, our team's growing, our income is expanded. And we're like, oh crap, like I actually have to organize this stuff or else I'm not going to be able to keep showing up the way that I need to.